Aindra Prabhu ki jai. So this Sankirtan, Aindra Prabhu was very much brainwashed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission. In New York, he would create some very unique ways of doing street Sankirtan. He wanted to chant the holy name, but also he wanted to give the holy name to others. He was very eager to please Srila Prabhupada and very eager for the Sankirtan Yajna. I did come, we moved here in actually 93 to Vrindavan, and at that time Aindra Prabhu wanted to make his first CD, so we helped him with that, financially, not musically. But I've always very much enjoyed the kirtan. I really didn't start playing harmonium till after I came to Vrindavan, and I tried to learn a few things. But the kirtan is the life for the devotees all over the world. And as Govinda Prabhu was saying, that the enthusiasm, when it brings that feeling of excitement, just like when you join the Krishna consciousness movement, when you realize that Srila Prabhupada's giving us the highest gift and that there's no qualification in Kali Yuga for performing yajnas or great tapasya or becoming a great so-called yogi, meditator. But our only solution is to sincerely chant the holy name of the Lord. I remember in one interview with Aindra Prabhu, they were asking, because he had a different flavor than the traditional flavor of kirtan, but he mentioned very clearly that it's just the calling out of the name. It's not always just the melody or the tempo, but if you're calling out with love to Krishna, Rama, Radhe, and if your heart is really looking to surrender and say that prayer, Krishna gives a little taste. A little taste comes. And devotees feel it when they're together, singing, playing together, chanting together. It's a wonderful bonding. And this is what Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all the great acharyas, they're all singing about the glories of the holy name, the glories of Kali Yuga. Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalu Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatiranyata. And Aindra Prabhu, he was showing by his determination and enthusiasm. I was here actually that day. I was scheduled for the class and I received the call. So I went to see Aindra Prabhu there. And just in my mind, it was like I just came back to the presidency 10 years ago. And I could see it created waves of emotion throughout the world. But just like when a great personality leaves, those who are sincere followers, it's painful, it's hurtful, but also it gives a certain kind of determination that I want to carry out the legacy, or I want to fulfill the wishes of Aindra Prabhu, who had that wish to spread the holy name all over the world, just like we're seeing now through social media, videos. Now we're having live kirtan all over the world. Aindra Prabhu was speaking about that back in the 90s when it was not even heard. He thought, how can we broadcast the holy name all over the world? So we should continue in this tradition of glorifying those devotees who have been empowered by Srila Prabhupada because of their following sincerely Prabhupada's mission. How brave was Prabhupada? There's a story that Prabhupada, when in his youth, there was a scaffold, and Prabhupada said he climbed to the very top of this scaffold. And one devotee said, "Oh, you were so brave back then." And Prabhupada said, "I am also brave now." That how you can come to a foreign country because he had faith in Krishna, faith in the holy name. So just see how Haridas Thakur, from Muslim family, wasn't even allowed to come and see Jagannath, but he stayed outside. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would daily come and see him. So we see how Prabhupada, he brought people of all colors, white, black, yellow, many different colors. You know, who would think that a American, red-headed Aindra Prabhu can come and deliver and plant the seed of the holy name and inspire people from all over the world to take up very seriously the Yuga Dharma. So this is a sign of a devotee, someone who inspires others to chant the holy name and who enlivens one in his devotional service. So today we're remembering His Grace Aindra Prabhu for his sincere dedication to Srila Prabhupada, for his gift to humanity of enthusiastic chanting of the holy name, and not only personally, but inspiring so many others, not only in this generation, but in future generations. The youth are very attracted to the holy name, and I'm very happy to be his friend, and I've known Aindra Prabhu for quite some time, and Shri Aindra Prabhu ki. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya-manubhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadandikam Adadanastryanandantai Bridam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padambujo Dulisyam Janma Janmani Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanjakalpadrubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So we're gathered here on this holy land of Braj, Sri Vrindavan Dham. And that Sri Vrindavan Dham, we're sitting beside wonderful temple of Krishna Balaram established by Srila Prabhupada. And we're sitting in the Balaram Hall on this 7th day of the bright half of the month of Asar. To honor the disappearance of Sripad Namanandi, Kirtan Chandra Namanandi Aindra Prabhu. I think it was Lokanath Swami who gave the name Namanandi, because there was no one more attached to the holy name than Aindra Prabhu. And I gave the Kirtan Chandra because Aindra's face was so nice and round like the moon, and he would be there chanting with surrounded by all the devotees like Brihaspati, surrounded by the Jupiter, surrounded by the stars, this big face, completely red, and belting out the holy name for everyone to become inspired. So he was like the Kirtan Chandra. And Lokanath Swami gave the title Namanandi. Because I've never met anyone, I've seen so many Kirtan devotees, but there's no one who was more attached to the holy name than Aindra Prabhu. What year Aindra finally came here? What year did he come to Vrindavan? 86. As I came in 84, I remember sometime after we arrived, someone tried to, because in 1975 when we opened up the temple, Prabhupada ordered that there be 24-hour kirtan. So that time when all the different temples, every temple took a different turn, or different yatras took different turns, or combined turns, and we started something. Of course, after the festival, everyone left, and then it fell apart. And as Panchagoda said, Aindra came here with he had done this wonderful moving temple in New York, taking Harinam all around the most incredible place to preach. New York City, people come from every part of America, every part of the world. You can preach to the whole world there in New York City. So he wanted to do something here like that, traveling and preaching. But somehow or other Krishna inspired him that he should just sit in one place, this Sri Vrindavan Dham, on this holy dust. This holy dust is so powerful, it will affect the whole world. But previous to him, one devotee had tried to have a 24-hour kirtan, but he was just paying people to chant. So instead of, but the paid kirtan is Hari Rupi, Hari Rupi, Rupi Rupi, Hari Hari. But Aindra Prabhu, he wanted to set up a kirtan party that was just devotees who just wanted to sacrifice their life for chanting the holy name, just to be a little prasadam, a place to stay, bas. So we could hear the pure Shuddhanam, not this Rupi Nam. So that time, myself and Pundarik, we had a traveling bus party, and we did life membership preaching and all kinds of preaching programs, plus the back of the bus opened up and then we distributed books. While we were out distributing, we had a party that would distribute books. And in the back of the bus, Pundarik had gone all the way to, what is the name of that place in Bengal where they make Bankura? He went all the way to Bankura, and he made these beautiful Gornitai deities. And we put them in the back of our Sankirtan bus. We made a bus special with a temple in the back and kitchen and everything. And we traveled all over UP, MP, and Rajasthan. Of course, later, 1986, I believe it was, that's when they pulled me out of the bus and put me on the hot seat. I think it was just after, that was centennial, I think, so 1986. So then gradually that bus party, because Pundarik and I were not there, gradually fell apart. And those deities, eventually Aindra took them from the bus and put them in his room, and that's Nitai Sachi Sutta. These deities traveled all over UP, MP, and Rajasthan, and blessed so many people. Now they just stay here in Vrindavan. Only those souls who are fortunate to walk all the way up those stairs, which I can't do anymore. They get darshan of Nitai Sachi Sutta. And he took care of them with so much love and devotion. In fact, at the very end, he put his head on the lotus feet of their lordships, which is, we can't even begin to imagine being able to place our heads on the feet of the Lord at the time of our leaving this body. Realize there was, by the will of the Lord, somehow he was trapped. There's no way to get out of his room, and there was some type of gas explosion, and the door was on fire. There's no way to get the door. He had double windows because his room doubled as a recording studio, so the windows couldn't be open. So when he realized there was nothing left to do, then you can just imagine, your fire is going on, the oxygen is going less. You would be freaking out, but Aindra remembered his lordships and put his head at their lotus feet, and chanting the holy name, he left this world on this day 10 years ago. So I was just trying to look around somewhere in my hard drive, pictures, old 1987 or so. We're chanting in the temple room with Aindra with that big moon-like face, Kirtan Chandra face. All the old devotees are there. So many wonderful memories of Aindra Prabhu And he was so attached to the holy name because this is the Yuga Dharma. Some people misunderstood his book because he wrote in such bombastic language, but sometimes you need bombastic language to wake you up. Because we get involved in management and so many other things. But the only reason that we do management, the only reason we raise money, the only reason we do anything in Krishna consciousness is so we can sit down and chant the holy name and spread the holy name. Because this is the Yuga Dharma. And we're very happy that one of his great followers, Rai Ramanand, has, took from Vrindavan, he took that inspiration back to New York. They have their Yuga Dharma Sankirtan party. Even when this pandemic came out, so they were smart enough to leave New York. Where did they go? North Carolina, and from there, they're by phoning. They have so many contacts from doing kirtan for so long. They're phoning people and still distributing the holy name and distributing Srila Prabhupada's books like anything. I'm always seeing on Facebook, people are always praising how they kept it alive, even though now it's practically impossible. They're still in North Carolina, or are they? Atlanta, my goodness. So anyway, Aindra, just by sitting here in Vrindavan and taking seriously the order of Srila Prabhupada that there should be kirtan 24 hours a day in Sri Krishna Balaram Mandir, he affected the whole world. Now we see all over the world people are taking up this chanting again. Every time we're seeing there's some 24-hour kirtan, 12-hour kirtan. Somebody had 40th anniversary, they had 40-hour kirtan. All this was aspired, especially the younger generation. Us in the old generation, we've done things that have not so good, but somehow or other, Aindra was able to inspire the younger generation to take up this chanting as this is the real Yuga Dharma. So we see all these kirtans going on all over the world, everywhere, and of course, Aindra's desire was that now we're chanting here in the temple in Krishna Balaram Mandir, but we take Harinam back to the streets, back to the people. And so that's Ram Roy with his party. They're doing that, taking Harinam back to the people, and it's becoming revived because it was going down. I remember Sankirtan men going out and selling stickers. But Sankirtan Kirtan means chanting the glories. So Aindra Prabhu went and performed a revolution to bring back the Yuga Dharma in that movement that was famous for preaching the Yuga Dharma. We're the ones preaching the Hare Krishna mantra, and other people, some fellow named Krishna Das who doesn't even believe in Krishna, he's become famous for chanting. We're the ones that started it. So Aindra performed a revolution to bring back the Yuga Dharma back to that movement that started the Yuga Dharma. So people are chanting Hare Krishna all over the world. People are seeing the devotees. It's all inspiration of Aindra sitting down here in Vrindavan on this holy dust of Braj, chanting the holy name. So today we're all gathered here on this, again on this dust of Braj, to honor Sripad Kirtan Chandra Namanandi Aindra Prabhu. Sri Kirtan Chandra Namanandi Aindra Prabhu ki jai.
Vancha kalpatarvascha kripa sindhubhyo evacha patitanang pavanabhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. So today we gather here to remember Aindra Prabhu, one of the Srila Prabhupada known exalted personality, inspiration to others. Like he was left his body here 10 years before in our Krishna Balaram temple, but also he left his activity and example. Actually that time in our temple we don't have the temple levers. Only one lever was there and one sweeper was there. So Prabhuji used to clean the toilets And also, we are also new devotees. We also clean the toilets. Prabhuji usually can clean the toilet at night. We just formalities, this is our service, we have to do. We just do the formality, not proper cleaning. But when Prabhuji sees there's need to be clean, night he used to go with his staff, some other 2-3 devotees like Martanda Prabhu, also other some devotees are there. So he used to clean the toilets and tell us that this is my Guru Maharaj's property, I have to take care of it. I have to do this service because we are questioning, Prabhuji, we can do it, why you are doing that? This is my Guru Maharaj's property. My Guru Maharaj give it us to our responsibility to take care of it. So devotee like Aindra Prabhu, they are example. If we follow, whoever follows these examples, they are flourishing. We can see, although Prabhuji is not present in physically now, but like Panchagara Prabhu is mentioned that. Hare Krishna. Sometime I used to play and try to learn the kirtan in harmonium. So he used to play Sare Gama Padani Sa, but he come and he said, no, not like this. It means start some melodies, kirtan like different tones. You should learn like this Hare tone, not mean you don't like that you learn from the Sare Gama Padani Sa. You learn directly from Maha Mantra. So this is the quality of the exalted personality. So many things, but I am not able to speak. So we should follow the full footstep of this exalted personality, then we can please the Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada created this wonderful mission for us. Hare Krishna.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So Srila Prabhupada has all his disciples, and they are very unique, very exalted in their own field, and undoubtedly His Grace Aindra Prabhu is one of them. And when I came in 2006 in Vrindavan, I used to see Aindra Prabhu. I don't have much interaction with him, but I used to see Aindra Prabhu every Saturday and Sunday around 6:45 in the morning. He used to come in Radha Shyam Sundar altar to dress Radha Shyam Sundar. And also in the evening time, he used to come for kirtan, his particular kirtan slot, I think from 5:30 to 7. So during that time. And sometimes when His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj used to come to Vrindavan, so after the Arati, evening Arati, he used to tell me that, go and tell Aindra Prabhu that I will come and see him. So I used to take Maharaj in his room, and he used to spend some time with Aindra Prabhu, half an hour, 1 hour. So in that way but I didn't have any interaction or anything like that. But just to see a personality like Aindra Prabhu, that he was so much focused in one thing, in his service. And although Srila Prabhupada actually started the 24 hours kirtan when he was physically very sick, his disciples started, but Aindra Prabhu actually re-established the 24 hours kirtan. And even we can see that even after his disappearance, the 24 hours kirtan is flourishing. Lot of devotees, young generation from different parts of the world, they are coming and they are engaging themselves in this kirtan. 24 hours kirtan is really flourishing. And also the main attraction of the Krishna Balaram Mandir is our deities, Krishna Balaram, Gaur Nitai, Radha Shyam Sundar, and also the devotees from different parts of the world, they come to participate in 24 hours kirtan. This is like the heart of Krishna Balaram Mandir. No other ISKCON temples have like this kind of facility. Even Mayapur, other temples, but specifically a dedicated kirtan team, 24 hours kirtan, is in ISKCON Vrindavan only. So today, on his disappearance day, we pray at his lotus feet that he may bless us, and just as he perfected his life, we all individually and collectively, we also following the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada and all his disciples. We follow in their footsteps and make our life successful. His Grace Aindra Prabhu ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubheva-cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. One time I remember one of the brahmacharis, he was asking Aindra Prabhu in the hallway, "How are you, Aindra Prabhu?" And he gave one of those like dissatisfied Aindra faces, and he's like, "Well, I don't have any Krishna prema." He said, "We're all sitting up here in the ashram, but who has any Krishna prema?" He's like real disappointed. I was thinking of the first time I met Aindra Prabhu, just because Govinda Prabhu invited me the other day to come here, and Govinda took me to his room the first time I met him, which must have been around Kartik time of 1998. And I still have a lot of impressions from that meeting. He was reading from Jaiva Dharma, and it was like a Gaudiya Math edition. At that time there was no edition, I don't know, maybe more meant for ISKCON devotees. So he was reading kind of, very interesting English. And I remember him reading, at that time there had been some like political upheaval in our ISKCON society, and it was kind of a frequent topic of conversation. And Aindra Prabhu, he started reading a passage about the progressive stages of hearing Krishna Katha, how a devotee can become more elevated by hearing more and more systematically from the Shastra. And just considering the climate of everything that was going on, he had like his reading glasses on, and after he read from the book, and then he looked up at us and he said, "No ISKCON politics, please." And there's another thing he read, where it was describing the beauty of Krishna, the beauty of Krishna's form, the beauty of Krishna's face. And then he looked at Govinda Prabhu and myself, and he said, they say that man is made in the image of God, but they're certainly not very good images, are they? Somehow many years later, I was in New York, and I was on a Skype conversation with Aindra Prabhu. He needed me to purchase something for him. But from my computer, this is 15 or so years ago, so I didn't have a good computer. So the video from my side didn't work. And he's like, "Can we see you? Is there any video?" And I said, "No, I'm sorry, Prabhu. My video doesn't work, so you don't have to see my ugly face." Because I was thinking about how he had said that. And he said, "Oh, well, my video works, so you have to see my ugly face." And he had this big smile, and he didn't have an ugly face. He had very pleasing face. Just one thing I thought to read, hopefully. Oh, someone had told me a nice story. Radha Madhava said that once he was in Delhi with Aindra Prabhu working on publishing for his book, and they were in, like an office for the book publisher. And there were somehow two young girls had come, and they were wearing kunti mala, and they had japa bags. And so someone asked, like, oh, are you ISKCON devotees? Oh, yes. And someone said something, my favorite devotee is Aindra Prabhu. And they said, oh, well, you're in luck, because Aindra Prabhu is right here in the next room. And so Aindra Prabhu met that girl, and she was like, bright-eyed young kid. And when Aindra met her, he said, are you chanting Hare Krishna? And she said, yes, Prabhu. And he said, who is Krishna to you? And she wasn't really sure how to answer that. And he said, is Krishna your master? Is Krishna like your child? Is Krishna your friend? Is Krishna your lover? And so that girl, she kind of thought for a minute, she's like, Krishna's my friend. And Aindra Prabhu said, yes, that is very important. When you're chanting Hare Krishna, you should be thinking, these are the names of my friend. Maybe we'll leave it there, I don't know. Thank you so much. Well, there was one, just to kind of hear something from Aindra Prabhu himself. This is a transcript of, it says, a darshan with Czechoslovakian devotees. And he starts off with the same point that was in the story I just told. So this is a transcript of Aindra Prabhu speaking. He says, the real proper mood is that this is the name of my lover, or this is the name of my son, or this is the name of my best friend, or this is the name of my master. And because I love my master, I love my friend, I love my son, I love my lover, therefore I can't not chant his name. I can't stop chanting his name. His name is constantly riding in my heart. And because I am separated from my lover, how can I go on living? Because I am separated from my beloved son, how can I go on living? I am separated from my best friend. How can I go on living? There is a very sweet story. There is one temple here, Ramji Bai, down near the Brijbasi sweet shop just across the street. There was a satsang hall, Ramji Bai Satsang Hall, and every year in the Marg Shirsha month, that's Krishna's month, the month after Kartik, so that month they hold a 3-day, 24-hour Akhand Nam Kirtan in the commemoration of Ramji Bai's disappearance. Ramji Bai was a young boy, I think he was 8 years old. He lived in another village outside of Braja, but he used to play ball with this beautiful boy whom he held as his best friend in his heart. This beautiful boy, he used to come every day and play with him. But then one day the boy told him that, I'm going home. I have to leave now. I have to go back to my village. So Ramji Bai asked, where is your village? Where are you going? And he told him, I'm going to Vrindavan. That's my village. That's where I live. So he left, and Ramji Bai was feeling so much separation. This was not so long ago. So at the age of 8, he renounced everything, left family and everything, and somehow made his way to Braj. And he was looking everywhere for his friend. He couldn't find him anywhere. So not far from here, he just sat down on the road, crying and crying and crying, and fasted to death, because he couldn't find his friend. So every year they commemorate his disappearance. That's the mood that we should be chanting the holy name in. How can we live without him? We have been living without him since time immemorial, but he should be coming to us by the grace of our Guru Parampara. A little insight, some depth of understanding of who he is, we have been looking for and haven't been able to find practically anywhere in this material world. He is the person we have been looking for. We have been looking everywhere in all the wrong places, but we couldn't find him anywhere. So our only recourse is to cry out his holy name and beg for his mercy. Please, 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 take me to your lotus feet. I can't live without you anymore. That's Sankirtan, Vipralambanam, that's the mood. In the company of devotees, we can actually cry if we have enough heart to do so. But in the public, we have to keep our crying inside. But we should be crying for Krishna. How can you live without Krishna? Maintaining our fly-like existence, pretending to be some kind of devotee. Do we have a heart or not? Do we have any idea of what is bhakti, or are we still barely scratching the surface, looking at the outside of the jar of honey? We have to go deeper if we want to get what our Guru Parampara wants to give us. And our human form of life is very, very short. We hardly have any time to do what we really need to do to get there. So we have to be serious about the direction of our spiritual progress. Aindra Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo. So today is the disappearance day of Aindra Prabhu. Aindra Prabhu came to Vrindavan and took that service of chanting Hare Krishna mantra in the temple room day and night, and somehow or other single-handedly, with a lot of difficulties, he managed for till his end of life in Vrindavan. This is not that easy job. At that time there was not so much facility. Even there is no drinking water, not that opulent, not that much facility, but still, somehow or other, he had that intense desire to continue it and maintain it. Sometimes in one shift, one devotee, not more than that. And he personally used to come, supervise day and night and that. So, not only he has a lot of interest in chanting kirtan, especially when Abhishek and everything, many issues, he personally will sit down for kirtan for hours. He will do kirtan, and lot of people will see to him without seeing the deities Abhishek. They will see him better because this main festival is going on here, his kirtan. So enlivening kirtan, chanting kirtan. So slowly he developed worshipping Saligram Shila or something. So even now you can see he left behind so many Saligram Shilas. His room is something, the tamal tree which was there before in the courtyard is still there, and so many Saligram Shilas. The Gaurnita deity in the previous Sankirtan bus, they are there. The Gaurnita deity. He started with that worshipping the Nitya Gaur Sundar deity, and then went to Nepal for his visa purpose, and then collect Saligram Shila. Then few years he went and collect lot of Shilas together. And he was a special kind of personality. We used to stay together next room to each other. And if somebody he will catch and preach, then that's it. Not less than an hour or two. There in the bathroom side or veranda or wherever he is, he will preach. and he had a natural inclination and nature to clean bathrooms and toilet. Always he will personally go and clean, and whoever in his department also he will encourage them to clean, and also us other devotees also encouraged cleaning bathroom and ashram cleaning services. I remember when labor started come before in our ISKCON Vrindavan, I think only Kishan Lal, Sundar Lal and Om Prakash, these three are taking the lead person, no other. Everything was done by Dinendra Prabhu, not sitting here. Everything. Only one telephone in guest house reception, and that's it. So there's practically no labors to do. Everything devotees used to do. So when that year, I remember when started labor comes cleaning bathroom and ashram and all that, he took some of us and count patients, he started arguing, why you are selling out our devotional service? This is our devotional service, why you are selling it out? Anyway, that was his mood. If somebody has mood for chanting the holy name, he has natural desire for serve the devotees, and the lowest service, cleaning bathroom, toilet. He will personally used to clean. He will purchase all these requirement things and clean. And at that time also department wise they have to maintain, and he has to maintain by collecting funds his department. Whatever supply, whatever temple was not supporting, he was maintaining by himself, as collecting and maintaining his expenses and departmental expenses and continuing the. And yes, and he dressed himself, he used to dress himself something like he will say, no, I have a tail. He wear dhoti, but he will in such a way that difficult to see, it's dhoti or one bahirbas kind of thing, particular kind of dress. And usually he used not to give class. If sometimes you put him in class, then breakfast time over, then lunch time will come, he will continue. Maybe nobody will there, but he will continue. So hardly he used to give class. But because quite number of years we stayed each other together there, so we have lot of interaction. Many times he used to come to talk each other and counseling, meeting, many discussions, many times. He was definitely a very lovable person and very helping nature. And he used to do this Kartik Vrat, and he also encouraged everybody to do this Panchak Vrat. And once in a year he used to give the feast in the Kartik Purnima. And that time he will invite, sometimes I was in the kitchen, he will say, hey, I want your help, you will cook some items here, some items in other place, and all together. Then we all used to go, and he will personally call some of us into his room to open the fast, to break the fast, and which he was keeping for 4 months, fasting only some food. So he was feast, he will serve in Baranda, in the ashram. Everybody used to go, and classic feast, when he will personally supervise what the menu and how he will serve and everything, perfect. So, and he started in ashram the cow dung pasting. He said, no, we should make it natural. He collect himself and make the whole ashram in a different look. Then bunk bed system, many times, because he has only at that time, I used to say, Prabhuji, Aindra Prabhu was there for a long time, he had 4 rooms they had. 1 room he, his DT himself, and 3 more rooms. Whole department was within 4 rooms. They maintained for a long time. And I don't remember that any of the time when Aindra was more than 20 devotees or 18 devotees were there. Less than that they used to manage the whole 24-hour kirtan like that. Anyway, he is a special kind of personality, lot of attraction. Many devotees have special attraction to him. The way of his kirtan, the way of his dealing, the way of speaking, and into depth of philosophy. So many people like him, and especially he showed the renunciation and attachment to name, attachment to deity, service and dressing. When you will dress Radharani, that will be different. His dressing, anybody say, oh, this is Aindra Prabhu dressing, it will take long time. Of course, the Govinda Adi Purusa finish, maybe after 5 minutes he will open the screen, curtain, but his dressing was something else. When Chandan Purnima day, he will come for Chandan dressing. Anybody can see that time in Chandan Purnima when Aindra Prabhu was there decorating. We used to do Krishna Balaram helping. He used to do. It will take long time, but totally some kind of special look. Whole Radha Samsundar, top to bottom, full of Chandan, kind of different. So he has some, whatever he will do it in a very particular manner, very special way that it will attract everybody's mind. So, and he, at that time, during his time, he used to be considered as the emperor of Kirtan in whole ISKCON society. Nowadays, of course, many young generations come out with specialized in singing, harmonium, mridang, but at that time he used to be invited to for Kirtan Mela. Okay. Huh?
He's still the emperor.
Yeah, his name is there. They used to invite to Mayapur also. When they start Kirtan Mela, though big sannyasis and many stalwarts are there, but still they used to invite Aindra Prabhu to society. His appearance will give a different flavor to Kirtan, just by his appearance, his mood. And he used to say us, I don't know harmonium, but somehow or other by practice I know. Somehow or other by practice. And so he will play harmonium in the rough way, very rough, tough way. Nowadays I am seeing he used to go some kind of harmonium design, special design. Aindra Prabhu's design nowadays they are singing. Hanging harmonium, they will play it, small harmonium. So that also started from, that is his gift to the new generation, Kirtaniya people. So, and his Kirtan style is also different. Very up and like type. That's what I am telling. Even the gatherings, will be enjoying his Kirtan than to see the Abhishek. Each festival time. And Radhashtami, Janmashtami, oh, far out. People will become mad. And he was a center of attraction from Delhi, Haryana and different places. Devotees will just come to hear his Kirtan and see how this man, being a Western devotee, is so dedicated, so much into it, and for a long time without drinking, eating, he is something special power in his, when he will start Kirtan among the public, it's different. But having so many nice, lovable qualities, he has in his heart deep love for all the devotees, for the community devotees also. I remember when any senior devotees, they used to pass out, they will call Aindra Prabhu to Kirtan, and he will go and sit down and do Kirtan. Even if he has lot of engagement, he will go and do Kirtan. So he has lot of helping nature, good quality. And I was in Sankirtan department. Each year in marathon time, December, he will give 2-3 devotees. Even if he is suffering without devotees, not full, he will give. No, I was, before doing that service, I was Sankirtan, I know the importance. So please take. He will encourage us like anything for book distribution. So that shows that he had lot of love for Prabhupada. So somehow or other, now he is not among us. He was so strong and stout and, but I don't know why Radha Samsundar took him from us. And in a strange way, somehow or other, he left us. Now, few days ago, Govinda Prabhu called me. I said, I am coming after long time. Aindra Prabhu's time, when he was there, I was there. I remember when he left his body, I just arrived from Surat, Rath Yatra. Then Adikeswar Prabhu called me. Aindra Prabhu is not coming for dressing, let us go. I went, then I said, this Sanatan Prabhu is there, they're breaking the door. Then I coming down Panchagoda Prabhu, see him in the stage, oh, what is going on? What happening? Everybody just strange to everybody. How come this happen? How come this happen? Somehow or other we don't know. He is supposed to come for dressing Radharani. And he went to dress in his Nitya Lila, not in this, this Lila, in Bhova Vrindavan. Somehow or other. So he is not with us now. But still, when he is remembering him, his memory is so sweet, so powerful. We can speak for hours together, like his nature. When he will start speaking, then that's it. Wherever he catch, he'll speak and speak for hours together. So, but many other senior devotees are there, so they can also glorify and remember him. So I want to stop my small offering here. Oh, this harmony is here. श्रीपाद ऐन्द्र प्रभु की, इस्कन कीर्तन सम्राट श्रीपाद ऐन्द्र प्रभु की, समवेत भक्त वृंद की, निताय गौर हरि प्रेमानंद.
I'm not having so many things to say like Vaishnava Maharaj, who's been very long time with Aindra Prabhu. One thing about preaching, in my days, you can go anywhere in the world, in any temple, and every devotee was playing Aindra's kirtan mellows. So it was not only restricted to Vrindavan, everyone was having that tapes. And actually my good old friend Jai Vijay, he purchased the first recording machine for Aindra Prabhu. He's not here now, so I'll just try to mention him. Basically, as Vaishnava Maharaj was mentioned, I was there at the very end, but I have one little bit nice pastime. I had a little bit service, that is mercy by Radhesham Prabhu, he's also here in the back, that Aindra always had that big feast at the end of Kartik. At the very end of Kartik for breaking the fast upstairs on the roof and on the everywhere devotees were sitting. So I think it must have been just late afternoon, after 1 o'clock, something around that time. And Radhesham rang me and say, hey, can you help me out? I said, okay, what is it? He says, it's very big work, can you help it? Some problem in Aindra Prabhu's room. So what happened when he was preparing for that offering, he wanted to do something special on his altar, and the altar was somewhat makeshift, and he stepped on one marble, and that marble snapped, and a chain reaction happened, and the whole altar collapsed. And he was very worried. Luckily, nothing happened to him. He was very worried, so by the evening before the offering, he wanted that altar fixed. So I got the whole repair and maintenance team, and I think nobody of you ever been that much in Aindra's room than me. We changed the deities, we shifted the Shilas, everything got a little bit moved here and there, and he was very worried. No, everything should remain the same. At the end, I did got the upper hand, and then by late afternoon, maybe by 6 o'clock or something, the whole thing looked like nothing ever happened. Actually, it was a bit more German. It was actually even better than before. So that is my only pastime. I have Jai. His Grace Aindra Prabhu ki Jai.
Dear assembled devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Aindra Prabhu. Govinda Prabhu kindly asked me to contribute to the glorification of our beloved Aindra Prabhu today. Of course, the greatest blessing in my life was being able to meet Aindra in 1981 when he came to the New York Temple at 846 7th Avenue. Immediately I was impressed that he was an extraordinary devotee. His sole purpose, of course, in New York City was to revitalize public Harinam, and he did that so wonderfully in New York for the next 5 years. It was during this time that we forged our lifelong and eternal friendship. Most notably at this time, I was a collector, along with a team of devotees for BTG magazines, and we were giving Aindra Prabhu as many BTGs as he could use to help support his Harinam program. When he decided to leave New York and go to Vrindavan in 1986, he very much encouraged me to come visit him regularly in Vrindavan, which I did practically every year for a few months at a time. These were very sweet times in the late 80s and early 90s. As the years went by, and Aindra Prabhu's spiritual and devotional greatness manifested more and more, simultaneously did my attraction to be with him and to stay with him in Vrindavan. Our relationship went into a special dimension in 1997 when he personally obtained and painted my Giriraj deity, who today, along with many attempts to manifest the Yuga Dharma ashram, is my greatest continued connection to Aindra Prabhu. The shock of Aindra Prabhu's sudden departure at age 57, he told me his astrology and palmistry predicted he would live till the age of 82. I was thinking in 2010 that we would have 25 more happy years together in this life. I felt cheated. Even today, by that calculation, he should have been with us for another 15 years. Imagine how our lives and the world would be so much better and different if he was still here. After 2 very difficult years in 2012, Krishna brought me back to New York City and under favorable circumstances at the time launched, practically in madness, into making Harinam happen every day in New York City. Govinda Prabhu was there that first year for 2 months in the summer. I felt my connection to Aindra Prabhu revitalized and by many multiplication advanced. Even though there was a lot of hard work and austerity and inconvenience, I was really, really happy. Knowing that this was what Aindra Prabhu had been shouting and crying about for so long. So from my personal experience, I can offer my advice and encouragement to devotees who are missing Aindra Prabhu to take his teachings to heart and to try one's level best to execute his desires. As he said, this Kali Yuga is very dark. We need many moons. All glories to Aindra Prabhu, the moon who walked amongst us. He reasons ill who say that Vaishnavas die while they are still living in sound. The Vaishnavas die to live, and while living, they spread the holy names around. Yours in the service.
Avishtagosti the day after Aindra Prabhu left. And of course, there's Swarup Damodar Maharaj and Gaur Govinda Maharaj. So the GBC started his speech by kindly offering a honorific, as Dinabandhu Prabhu also and Lakshmanath Maharaj had given to Sripad Aindra Prabhu. So the GBC, he started by saying, His Divine Grace, Aindra Prabhu ki jai. His Divine Grace, Aindra Prabhu ji jai. His Divine Grace, Aindra Prabhu ki jai. Although Aindra Prabhu was never officially in the official sannyas status, he, according to reliable sources, he was on the sannyas list for, or he wasn't on the sannyas list, but he was up for sannyas 2 times. And the first time, his friend Jagadish Prabhu, who was the dean of the Gurukul at that time, offered to put a good word in for Sripad Aindra Prabhu at the GBC meeting in Mayapur 1 year. And unfortunately, it never, it never materialized. So then Jagadish Prabhu came back to Vrindavan, and Aindra Prabhu said, "What happened?" And Jagadish Prabhu said, "Well, it was really hard, and it died on the floor," or that's how they say in politics. It never got to the table. So then Jagadish Prabhu told Sripad Aindra Prabhu that he would try again next year. So then next year, Jagadish Prabhu apparently went to Mayapur for the GBC meetings, and apparently the conclusion of the how do you say? He came back with no affirmation. That's the word I wanted to say. So there was no affirmation, and there was 3 reasons for them not allowing him to be on the sannyas list. Also, we know that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has explained that the best Bhajananandi is a Gostyanandi who preaches. So Aindra Prabhu, as Vaishnav Maharaj explained also, that you'd go into his room and he would, how do you say, he wouldn't let you out of the room for like 4 or 5 hours, because he would do all the talking, and there was no way out of the situation. So so there was 3 reasons apparently why they rejected his being on the sannyas list, and one of them was probably the way he presented himself externally, his unkempt cloth, and I can only remember one of the reasons. What he told me personally was that they rejected his appeal because he was too austere. Of course, at that time there was many devotees in sannyas list, and then they'd get sannyas, and then they'd fall down. But even though Sripad Aindra Prabhu was rejected for the sannyas by the sannyas ministry, he happily accepted that position of not being a sannyas, although we all know that he was, because as Srila Prabhupada explains, sannyas is not a change of dress like that. So, but as I said, he would quote Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So what does it mean to be a Bhajananandi who preaches? Usually in the West, when you say the word, or when you hear the word Bhajananandi, or not Bhajananandi, when you hear the word Bhajan, everyone automatically thinks that it means like singing, Jnani Ludena Prama, or any kind of Vaishnav song, but bhajan is synonymous with sadhana. So the meaning of the best Gostyanandi is a Bhajananandi who preaches. So that was Aindra Prabhu's life, despite his upside down schedule of chanting his morning, chanting his evening Gayatri at 100 hours, chanting his noon Gayatri, chanting his morning Gayatri before going to sleep at night, he would serve his deities, and then by that time he would take prasadam once in a day. At 6 o'clock in the morning, he would chant his Gayatri and go to sleep, and then wake up at 12 o'clock at noon, take a shower, chant his noon Gayatri, and then the rest is too difficult to elaborate on. I don't know how many minutes I have gone. How much do I have? A minute left? So bhajan means one's personal devotional sadhana. And not that we should imitate the bhajan of great personalities such as Sripad Aindra Prabhu. Of course, imitation, he also explains once that imitation of a good thing is also good. But if it's a bad imitation, it's not good. And those are my words. So the main thing is to, what is the Sanskrit? Anukaran and Anusharan. So there's Anukaran means, what is it? Anukaran, Mukunda Datta Prabhu, Anukaran and Anusharan. Right. So, the first time I heard Aindra Prabhu on audio was I was in Toronto, Canada, in late 80s, 1987 or something, and I was in a car. His Holiness Janardhan Maharaj was the temple commander of the Toronto temple, and we were going to a home program somewhere in the winter, and on the highway it was all white because of the snow, and so he put in a cassette of a night kirtan. Aindra Prabhu was playing a bass harmonium, and it was very, very mystical. And a lot of his recordings are also mystical. A lot of the unpublished or unreleased, the live recordings, they're a lot of them it's a mixed bag. Some of them are mystical, some of them are pumped up, and some of them are good. And then the albums, all the albums are very good. The last time I saw Aindra Prabhu was, of course, the night before he left the planet, and it was around 9:45 or 10:45, I can't remember. And the next day, actually the day that he left, I think it was a Saturday, so we wanted to go for the morning kirtan before the Shringar Arti. Usually he would take that slot, and I missed going to that. So then the next day, I was determined to make it, because I was outside the temple campus, so I had to come, get my foot out the door, and then come to the temple. And so when I got here, I paid my obeisances, and then in front of Radheshyam, I was standing there, and then his recording engineer at that time, I forgot his name, I think his name is Bimal Prasad, was that his name? Bimal Prasad, Arjun Krishna, something like that. So he came up from behind me and grabbed me and whispered into my ear that Aindra Prabhu has left the planet. So that was a shocker. One famous expression of Aindra Prabhu's was chant Hare Krishna and be miserable, as opposed to chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Because we're not always happy. We're not like robots that we can have a permanent Sankirtan smile. But another expression of his was that chant in the kirtan. It's important to chant. So, but if you can't chant, then at least chant in your heart. Okay, thank you very much. His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki.
And Prabhu K. First I would like to read the offering by Bhuvaneshwar Prabhu, offering to His Grace Aindra Prabhu. Aindra Prabhu and I had a friendly relationship. Shortly before he left his body, he said to me, "You should make sure you leave your body in Vrindavan." That was one of his foremost desires. So Krishna fulfilled it prematurely. Aindra was fully engaged up to the last. He had a very positive service attitude. Whenever he was called to dress Radheshyam or to Kirtan for some departing soul, he would never say no, regardless of the time. He loved to dress the deities and perform Kirtan. His clock in his room did not have any hands, which meant 24 hours service, day or night. He was very learned and could hear the pastimes of Radha and Krishna without being disturbed, not like most of us. He could also speak for hours on end. He gave a Srimad Bhagavatam class which lasted till noon Artik. He also gave a Bhagavad Gita class that went to 10 o'clock at night. Whatever project he started, he would work day and night to make sure it was completed. He will always be remembered for his recordings and evening kirtans, which had everyone floating. Once I gave a class. Someone asked a question at the end. What is it like to be in Aindra Kirtan? I said, you should go there and see for yourself. He inspired many devotees to dedicate their lives to Kirtan. So we should remember Aindra Prabhu for his dedication to Srila Prabhupada and ISKCON. All glories to Aindra Prabhu. Your servant Bhuvaneshwar Das. Hare Krishna. Grive Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya. Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivajadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. And the Prabhu K. So had a good Hare Krishna. So the first time I met Aindra Prabhu, I had a good fortune, that was in New York in 1994. I had gone to New York. I was supposed to go there for Rath Yatra, which was in the summer, usually in July, in June, second week of June, okay. Second Saturday in June. So I arrived there and Rath Yatra was there and the devotees then, so they asked me to stay and do some seva there. They needed a pujari. Rambhadra Prabhu was there and had pujari and they needed somebody to do some preaching for the Indian community. And since I had been in Vrindavan and I knew some Hindi, so they were asking me, and I thought, let me just stay for some time. So then at that time, I came to meet Aindra Prabhu, and immediately somehow we had some good relationship. And at that time he was mostly staying downstairs. There was a basement in Brooklyn Temple, Skirmhorn Street. I think 305 Skirmhorn Street. And so he was staying there, and well, he was not going often to the morning program. So, but every day we used to go downstairs in the basement, take prasadam. And what I used to do, I used to chant my japa before Mangalartik, because then I was busy serving the deities, and then afternoon going for some preaching. And that time already I used to see and speak to Aindra Prabhu also. A few words, and then he told me about his program of going every day out on Harinam Sankirtan in New York, and he had made one kind of temple from a small van, and to the side he had an opening, and he had his deities there, which are still here in the room, small Gonitai deities, and he had Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta also. At that time he didn't have any shilas. So then he was going out, and then he asked me to join also. And I used to sometimes go and join him there, but every day, almost every day, we used to come together and we used to speak. And mostly he was speaking, and he was speaking about Harinam Sankirtan, and he was speaking about Krishna. So, Krishna in Braj. Already at that time he was so much absorbed in Krishna in Braj. And so I was of course very much inspired, because I had been in Vrindavan also in 1980 till 83. And so I was very happy to be with him and hear about Krishna's pastimes. So he was at that time already, so I was impressed by him due to his speaking about Krishna all the time, not wasting any moment, no prajalpa. And that was just, then also the Chaturmas was starting. And he was very austere and very strictly following Chaturmas. Just at that time he was doing a very difficult vrat, just eating once a day khichdi. And even the special vrat is Chandrayan, that he was putting his hands behind the back, and then he had a plate of prasad, and starting from the first day of Chaturmas, and then he was going down and eating. That was the rule, and you're not supposed to go up. You go down, and the prasad has to be on the floor also. Very unusual. First time I had seen somebody following Chaturmas, and especially in this way. We heard about Chaturmas. First month no spinach, second month no yogurt, third month no milk, and fourth month no urad dal. That was Chaturmas vrat. But he was doing a special vrat, and he was of course chanting more during Chatur vrat. So that was the first time, although I had been in Vrindavan, but even in Vrindavan practically nobody was following like that, Chaturmas, or chanting more rounds. So that was the first person I saw chanting more rounds. He was trying to chant 64 rounds and eating once a day, and khichdi and from the floor. So then going down, and then if somebody was coming and wanting to speak to you, if you by mistake go up, then you cannot go down and eat again. So it was very unusual. And the other particular thing is that then every day you have to cook a little less. On new moon you only have a very little amount of khichdi, and then towards the full moon again you can increase. That was his vrat. It was extremely difficult. And then some other devotees were there, had Pujari and myself, and we thought, let us try to do also khichdi once a day, but a full plate, not as he was doing. But even that, I mean, we could not do it. So, and then and he was very strong in his speaking, and and wonderful kirtans were there. So I was very much inspired by him, by his Krishna consciousness, by his singing, and by his also austerity. I was impressed by that. And then in 1986, so that's in 84, so 2 years, almost 2 years we were together and had a close relationship. Then, almost 2 years, because then in beginning 86, then he told me that I want to go to Mayapur and I want to stay there. And I was a little surprised because it was like his life and soul preaching and in the streets of New York. But it was his decision, and then he was telling me that he will try to preach in India. But he was feeling like going to Mayapur for the 500th anniversary, 1986, and then he wanted to stay some time in Vrindavan and preach there. Also, he had an idea of have some van also, as he had in New York. So then he went to New York, he went to Vrindavan in 1986 for the festival in Mayapur, then he was in Vrindavan. And I was still in New York, but then I was also thinking after some time to come back to Vrindavan. But then the devotees, they didn't let me go because they needed somebody to do some preaching to Indian community, and they needed a bhakta leader. They made me the bhakta leader, and they needed somebody to help in the DT department. So I was doing these 3 services. But then suddenly on Balram Purnima, I wake up and I see Krishna Balram, and then I understood that now Krishna Balram making some arrangements for me. And shortly after that, everyone agreed to let me go, and then I was able to come to Vrindavan, and then again I met Aindra Prabhu, and we continued our wonderful relationship in 87. So, and first, so he wanted to study the preaching, and he was trying to collect money for a van, but he was not successful. And then he had heard that Prabhupada wanted 24-hour kirtan here in Vrindavan, which in the beginning, after Prabhupada had established the temple and the deities, they were doing 24-hour kirtan, but only for a short while. And then there was nobody there to continue. And after that, even when I came first year, 1980 till 83, there was kirtan only doing the artik. Other times they were playing tapes of Prabhupada chanting, Krishna meditation. Beautiful tape, of course, also. No, but very beautiful. It is running the whole day. Yeah. And so he was very eager to, as he had heard that Prabhupada wanted 24-hour kirtan. So then he decided to start, and that was in 86. 86 or 87? 87 maybe, huh? I think 87. Yeah. 87 when I was here, and then that was on Vijay Dashami, the day when Ramchandra killed the wicked Ravana. So his mood was that we should start the kirtan and destroy the wicked people of the age of Kali, and the wicked mentality, Ravana mentality of enjoying in this material world. And so in the beginning there were hardly any devotees with him. Therefore many times he was like 8 or 10 hours he was doing himself kirtan. And especially night time, nobody wanted to do kirtan. And many times he was alone, and night time, like from 10 o'clock till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, just alone and with the harmonium, chanting Hare Krishna, nobody else there. But then finally, after a few years, then he had some devotees also joining him. Yeah, so another speciality about him was he was expert in dressing the deities, also revolutionary. And I've been in many temples, and there's always one kind of dressing style which is quite straight and nice and beautiful. And but then his style was looking very natural, because if you see the chadas are straight, and even Krishna's turban is a kind of straight, which is like Vaikuntha Bhav, as he was saying. Whereas when he was dressing the deities, traditionally also, when Krishna's mukut is in 2 sides, one side is bigger than the other side. It is never the same, it is never straight. Even sometimes the crown is going up, but then it is going towards Srimati Radharani, like a crescent shape. And then usually as a peacock feather going towards Srimati Radharani's side. So he was knowledgeable in the scriptures because he had seen the temples here, and he had gone to the people who were making the mukuts. So he learned actually how Krishna's turban is looking, how Krishna's mukut is looking, and he was introducing that. And of course some crowns were already there because we were buying, but then he introduced the style and perfecting it, and especially the dressing. You can see nowadays also the chadors are not straight, but they're hanging a little curved and in a natural way, so it is looking like Krishna is just going to dance, or is dancing, and Srimati Radharani also. And because of his love also, because usually you can see when the deities are dressed, even you can see photos, the deities, of course Krishna is completely independent, but still according to the mood of the devotees that will reflect on the deities also. Therefore you can see when you see the deities in South America, and the deities sometimes they almost have a look like South American. You could Japan, they look a little bit Japanese somehow. But when he was dressing the deities, actually Shama Sundar and Srimati Radharani were completely present there. And therefore they were so attractive, therefore devotees they were so attracted when he was dressing the deities. And he taught me also, he taught the other devotees, and those who were a little intelligent they could pick up. And then actually all over the world, and then they also picked it up, his mood of, and his style of dressing. Even one time they asked him to come to Mayapur and give a seminar on deity worship, and how, especially how to dress the deities. He was doing puja also to his deities, but his puja was, of course, he knew also the basic upachars, the process, but in a simple way. But his was more the dressing in a certain style, with a certain mood, with a proper mood and bhav. And similarly, of course, why he was attractive in his chanting, because he was chanting purely, and because he was remembering Radha and Krishna. So then Krishna is present there, and when Krishna is present, Krishna is all attractive, and therefore his kirtan was so attractive. And one time the first, so to say, Vyasa Puja of Aindra Prabhu, when he allowed the devotees to observe his appearance day, which is in March, what is it, I think Vakreshwar Pandit's appearance day. Now is this appearance day today? No, or is it, no, Vasu Ghosh's appearance, I think. Another Kirtaniya, he left and he appeared on the day when one of the associates of the Lord appeared, and this, Vasudev, no, but maybe Vasudev or Govinda Ghosh, one of the Ghosh. And he disappeared, one of the great Kirtaniyas left, Vakreshwar Pandit. He was the greatest Kirtaniya, dancing and chanting for 72 hours. And he left on that day. Or Hira Panchami, it was night time actually, the Titi were there, both of them. Hira Panchami, and then many times the Titis together. And then Vakreshwar disappearance day. So he appeared on the appearance day of a great Vaishnav, a great Kirtaniya, and he disappeared on the disappearance day of a great Kirtaniya. So the first Vyas Puja celebration was there. There was one devotee, Giridhari, now he's in Radhakund, a kind of, doing his bhajan there. He has his family there, sweet devotee. And so he had his house there. So he made it with his own hands, and of course some help was there. And so beautiful place, so the devotees were invited there. And he was doing kirtan there. And I had just come, and then the kirtan was tumultuous kirtan there. And I was just entering the room, and I was just sitting down, and I didn't take part yet in the chanting and hearing. I had my japamala, and then, but then very strong he was singing. And then actually I was seeing, of course by good fortune, by his mercy, Krishna was present there. Very strong. So that you can see when a pure devotee is singing, then Krishna becomes present. When a pure devotee is singing. Therefore we should be association of pure devotees, and when we are receptive, then we'll get the immense benefit of the association with these great devotees. Therefore we can see also, so he attracted so many devotees who never actually even met him. That is the power of a great devotee. It is purifying the three worlds. Like Uddhav, when he had come to Braj and then he was glorifying the gopis. When Krishna was in Mathura and they needed some to be solaced. So then he was glorifying the Brijbasis, Nanda Bhavi Yashoda, and especially the gopis, Vandena Davaraja Strinam Padare Maravishnasa Yasam Kati Harod Kitan Punati Bhuvanatrayam. He is offering obeisances to the gopis. And he wants to bathe himself with the dust of their lotus feet. And when the gopis are glorifying Krishna, that is purifying the three worlds. So he was chanting the holy names and it has such an effect. And therefore then also his kirtans, they were distributed all over the world. His Vrindavan mellows and other cassettes and then CDs. And attracting so many devotees who never saw him, who had never come here, but they were just listening. Just by listening his kirtans, they were attracted and they became attached to him. Many devotees I met in different places. And then they're even chanting like Aindra Prabhu, a special kind of way of chanting with so much transcendental passion and enthusiasm. Many devotees then they're picking that up. In many places I had met devotees and they had not met Aindra Prabhu, but they had heard his kirtan, they had heard about him, and they became so much impressed by him. So that is the symptom of a great devotee. Just by seeing him, then you can remember Krishna. And even here, just by hearing a great devotee chanting, that will help you to remember Krishna. That will give you remembrance of Krishna. So he was such an exalted devotee, extremely as we have heard, and that he wanted to take sannyas, but they didn't allow him, and so many reasons were there. They thought he's too extravagant, and I mean sannyasi should be austere, so that was not a shortcoming. And actually many sannyasis they should have learned from him how to be austere. So that is the quality of a sannyasi, is extremely austere. So he had actually all the qualities of a sannyasi. Austere, absorbed in Krishna, taking shelter of the gopis. That is a sannyasi, the sannyas mantra is taking shelter of the gopis, but then of course preaching. So he had taken full shelter of the gopis, he was preaching, he was austere, absorbed, and very kind and expert in deity worship. He was doing deity worship, he was teaching others, he was helping others. All the qualities of sannyasis were there. But he was sometimes a little bit too outspoken, and according to his dress also, it is a kind of avadut, maybe dress of Babaji. The Babaji sometimes they dressed like he was dressing similarly to the Babajis. And many of the senior devotees, they felt, well, it's a little bit too much like a Babaji. That would not be a good example for the rest of the world. So, and he was too outspoken, most probably, and too much speaking about Krishna, another thing which, although this mentioned again, the sannyasi, what's their business? They're talking about Krishna. What is the guru? He's speaking about Krishna. He's speaking about Srimati Radharani. That is the spiritual master. So he had all these qualities. But sometimes we have to see time, place, circumstances. First we have to do Vaidhi Bhakti, and then we may enter into Raganuga Bhakti. And he was completely absorbed in Raganuga Bhakti, and his Vaidhi Bhakti was, it was there, but not easy to understand. Only those who knew him closely, they could understand his Vaidhi Bhakti, how he was doing. And but he was following the principles of Vaidhi Bhakti, but then he had a higher understanding of Raganuga Bhakti, and he was absorbed in performing Raganuga Bhakti, trying to come to the platform of Bhav Bhakti. And then, of course, by that you can enter Braj Bhav, and then you can enter Braj, and that is actually the only way. So another important point is his attachments towards Sri Vrindavan Dham. And that is mentioned, the symptoms of a devotee who is on bhav bhakti, whose transcendental emotions. So he's very much always trying to speak about the Lord, and then he's attached to the holy place, to the places where Krishna performed his pastimes. So he had great attachments to Vrindavan Dham, and he didn't want to leave Vrindavan at all. He just wanted to stay here. And so of course 1 or 2 times he had to go to Nepal to get a visa, and then he quickly came back, and only, in the later years, only then he was ready to go to Mayapur to take part in the Kirtan Mela. But otherwise he was always staying here. If somebody was inviting him to Delhi or any other place for Kirtan, he wanted them to come here and join the Kirtan here. And he was trying to instill that bhav to others also, to just stay in Braj. Sometimes I had to go out also. And then he always used to tell me, well, why are you going out? There's no need for you to go out. I said, well, I have family, sometimes I have to go somewhere, my parents are there. Oh, just some excuses. I said, okay, I do Prabhu. Still I was going. So sometimes some transcendental disagreement was there. One time I was arguing with him about Vrindavan, staying in Braj, and I was saying, well, if you are absorbed in Krishna consciousness, wherever you are, that is Vrindavan. So we had some transcendental agreement. And but his love for Vrindavan and his attachment to Vrindavan was also pure and was very contagious. And therefore many devotees, they also followed in that moon, and they were then trying to simply stay in Vrindavan so as much as possible. So the qualities of Aindra Prabhu, they are many, and there are many wonderful things to say about him. And of course today is the 10th year of his disappearance, so it was a great shock for all the devotees who knew him, who were close to him. Myself also, we had such a wonderful relationship. So actually when I came back from America to Vrindavan, it was just before Radhashtami. At that time he started dressing the deities, because the devotees, some pujaris, they were against the head pujari at that time. He was on strike, the pujaris, and then they asked Aindra Prabhu. And then some Matajis were also dressing for 2 days. And then he dressed the deities for 8 months. But then after 8 months, then he was dressing the deity in a special way with bhav. I like to remember that pastime and relate to others also. And then we opened the curtain. I was there also. It was 1990. I was serving in the Gurukul as teacher. And then so we were going for darshan, and we take darshan, Gonita, Krishna Balaram, and then Radhisham, and Aindra Prabhu was there, and looking if the devotees were coming to Radhisham's altar, and he had a big smile. I was wondering, oh, he has a big smile, something special will be there today. And he opened the curtain, and Jai Radhisham, and then devotees, where is Krishna's flute? Usually Krishna is playing the flute, and the head pujari usually has to tell the pujaris and make sure the flute is there, and the peacock feather. But the flute was not there, and I saw the flute was in Radharani's left hand. So in the mood that Radharani stole the flute. So and then the senior devotees, they didn't like that. They said, no, this is not proper, you should not do that. They chastised him. They told the head pujari, if you do this again, he should not be allowed on the altar. And he was so disappointed. The next day he dressed them very simple, not hanging the cloth, just the cloth hanging down, one small garland, one small necklace. And then after darshan, then I asked him, what's happening? I said, I'm just not into it anymore. These senior people, they don't have the bhav, how to worship the deities. Then he said, because he knew me from New York, I was dressing the deities. And he said, why don't you take over and serve Radhisham? I said, sounds good, because I was with the kids, trying to be with the small kids, 7, 8 years, an ashram teacher. Was not an easy job. So I thought, well, that sounds a little better, serving the deities. And then I became Pujari. And then 2 years later, 92, I became head Pujari. And then I was serving the deities day and night, dressing Radheshyam. But then sometimes I had to dress Krishna Balaram. And then I thought, well, now it's already 3 or 4 years since Aindra didn't come on the altar, so I should invite him back on the altar. And I said, well, it's 4 years he didn't come on the altar, please come and dress Radheshyam again on Sunday. And he said, okay, then he was dressing on Sunday. And then every festival day we used to dress together. I used to dress Radharani and he used to dress Shyama Sundar till he left. And then later on, even towards the later years, I asked him to dress on Saturday also, because I had so many responsibilities. And he was doing, so it was done, and many times while dressing the deities, we were talking about Radha Krishna. It was always wonderful. And in the beginning, we used to talk in his room for hours. And then later on, because so many devotees used to come to his room, I didn't go so much. But then on the altar, we used to talk together. And then yes, on that, it was a Saturday. At that time, I was at home. I was just ready to go to the temple for darshan. But then they called me at 20 to 7 in the morning. And he told me, Aindra Prabhu didn't come to dress the deities. I said, well, you didn't go and wake him up? Oh, I tried, but he's not answering. And we're banging on the door from the side. And it was, foolproof doors. You could not hear anything because he was doing kirtan. And then, he made a special door so he could record his kirtan so that nobody would disturb. And so then they asked me to come immediately. I immediately came, 6:45, running. I came on the altar. I asked one devotee to help me. And I was thinking, this is very strange. And then, of course, 7:15, right after darshan, after greeting of the deities, then I was immediately going towards Aindra Prabhu's room. And I was going then, Adhikeshav Prabhu had just come down and he told me, come quickly. I said, what happened? Aindra Prabhu left his body. And then I went upstairs and everyone was shocked, and then we had to, It was very sad, but then what to do? So 10 years ago, so of course you're supposed to observe Mahamotsav, great festival is there, the appearance or the disappearance. We know that the pure devotee is always with Krishna, and so he comes in this world for helping Krishna in his pastimes of preaching, and then he leaves this world to go to some other place or join the Lord's pastimes, so there is never any loss. But at the same time, the devotees who are close, it is natural then that when a great devotee, the pure devotee, the spiritual master leaves, that the feelings of separations are there. And almost everyone was crying bitterly. And that is also ultimately the Lord's will, Lord's arrangement to help the devotees increase their desire to be absorbed in the spiritual master's thoughts. And by feeling separation, then one can remember, and that it will help one feeling separation from Krishna and increase one's love towards Krishna. So we pray to Aindra Prabhu so that we may be able to advance more and more in Krishna consciousness, and so we may get perfection. His Grace Aindra Prabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
You heard about Aindra Prabhu dressed like a Babaji, and Bhajananandi program, Gosjanandi program. Actual quote is, the best preacher is a Bhajananandi who comes out of his bhajan and becomes a Gosjanandi. He starts preaching. There has to be some substance. And I asked Aindra Prabhu, Hare Krishna Prabhu, just one second. I asked Aindra Prabhu in his last years that, because I saw him chanting all the time, japa, really fast. Even he would come down for Bhagavatam class, and he was like, you know, and he would sometimes listen to the class with one ear, and you know, his eyes wander, his attention wanders to the class and the speaker, but maybe for just a few seconds, and he goes back to his chanting like that's more important. And I asked him, so how many rounds are you chanting, Prabhu? And he says 116 a day. And on festival days or Kartik Mas, Purushottam Mas, 192 rounds a day. Plus he would do his hours and hours of Shalagram Puja, interrupted with hours and hours of answers to somebody's question, or you didn't even have to ask anything. You just happened to be in a room, and he would talk and talk, you know, some philosophical point in a very passionate way, and very, I would say philosophical, but more like Krishna conscious realization is a better word. It wasn't book knowledge or some dry speculation, but it was something that Krishna gave him from the heart, from within the heart. And so it all made sense. Oh, so that was his sadhana, and of course everybody's trying to imitate a famous person, a powerful person. In the material world, people become envious, and they try to steal whatever credit he has developed. And you know, people try to imitate his kirtan style, his way of singing, his melodies. But you never hear him, they try to imitate his 116 rounds a day, or 192 rounds a day. You know, and that is the real test, the real test. So I'd like to read the Gopal Prabhu's offering that he wrote today. Then I'd like to ask Govinda Mataji to come, and I think everybody spoke. And then we'll have Pushpanjali, the offer flower petals to Aindra Prabhu, and around 2 o'clock we will have the feast. But after Pushpanjali we'll do kirtan until we have the prasadam ready. So stay tuned. Gopal Prabhu was formerly with Aindra. I don't know exactly what year he came. Early 2000, I believe. And Aindra Prabhu liked him very much. You know, he had a very intelligent person. And he loved Aindra very much, so later on he was in charge of the 24-hour department for some years. Now he's in London, taking care of his daughter. So here it is. Dear Sripad Aindra Prabhu, please accept my dandavats at your service to the propagation of the Yuga Dharma Harinam Sankirtan as the express will of Srila Prabhupada to have 24 hours kirtan non-stop in Krishna Balaram Mandir. Please accept my apologies for not being personally present today. I had a flight bought and confirmed in January. However, the airline is not available to fly due to government restrictions. I know I could have tried harder to get back home. Today, the 27th of June 2020 marks many special events. In Jagannath Puri, on this day, Lakshmi Devi is carried to Gundicha, Vrindavan, to see Lord Krishna, and she is not allowed in. Today is also the day that Bhakti Tirtha Swami left his body according to the actual day. Dear Aindra Prabhu, I am not going to try to make an offering as I have mixed feelings about your departure And I feel even though it's been 10 years since your departure, it is still like yesterday for me. Vrindavan will never be the same for me without your kirtan resounding. I am forever in gratitude for all your love and guidance to engage me somehow in the service of Lord Krishna in Vrindavan. I thank you for telling me how to break it down, how not to speed up, to mark how to bring the funk and groove, how to stay on the line, how not to lose it, while all the time staying in time by chanting as purely from the heart as possible. Thank you for allowing me to somehow be assisting on your visits to Sridham Mayapur. Somebody said he attended the Sridham Mayapur Kirtan Mela. Actually, Aindra Prabhu started. And Panchatattva was installed, and they invited Aindra Prabhu to participate in the Abhishek Kirtan. That was the first time. Because Aindra Prabhu took Kshetra Sannyas. He would not leave Vrindavan. Even when he went to Delhi, he would not sleep anywhere, any day. He would come back the same day, and he was very, very reluctant to go to Delhi or to anywhere else out of Vrindavan. So to go to Mayapur for him was same as to be in Vrindavan, because Mayapur and Vrindavan are non-different. So he agreed to do that, and after the first Kirtan program there, they invited him back, and that was the big attraction. You know, Aindra Prabhu is coming from Vrindavan, and the devotees were looking forward to it, and it was during the festival time, Gaur Purnima, and it became a thing every year, Kirtan Mela, and after his departure it's still going on. But like Gopal Prabhu says here, Vrindavan is not the same without Aindra Prabhu anymore. We could say the same thing for the Kirtan Mela in Mayapur. So it continues, thank you for allowing me to make some flower garlands for our beloved Radha Shyam Sundar. Thank you for showing me how to clean the devotees' bathrooms, sinks, and ashrams rooms. Thank you from my heart for smashing my ego into surrendering the Yuga Dharma, Harinam Sankirtan. During the government lifting on restrictions, we have been doing 4-hour sit-down Kirtan performance in public parks. Thank you for saving so many devotees' spiritual lives, and even some on the edge of suicide, by your pure chanting in Kirtan performance. Thank you for allowing an offender like myself to even be able to become so close and personally intimate with your company. Thank you for appearing in my dreams and visions, giving guidance, directions, with most of all support. During a recent long divorce, I am forever appreciating your loving directions. I appreciate your help, presence, and blessings that you, Aindra Prabhu, give and still give to all who open their hearts to your embassy of loving service to the holy names. I greatly miss your kirtan, personal guidance, and support. I will promise you that I will come back home one day soon. I promise you on this day, 10 years since your disappearance, to meet again and attending the eternal non-ending kirtan in Nitya Navadip Golok Dhams. Yuga Dharma Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Radhe Shyam Jai Jai Krishna Balaram. Yours in the loving service of the holy names, Gopal Das. Gopal Prabhu Ki Jai. Aindra Prabhu Ki Jai. Govinda Mataji, would you like to come?
So the time when I came in Vrindavan, I was very young and completely unexperienced. I just came from Russia, from the place where I had no association, there were no temples, and I had practically knew nothing except book distribution. But when I came in Vrindavan, there were so many Prabhupada disciples to whom I'm very grateful, because they taught me how to serve here Srila Prabhupada mission, in particular to the deities. The time Dinabandhu was a temple president, and so many senior Matajis, Prabhujis were present then, Prabhupada disciples. And the general mood was that time is very unmotivated service, and it was very popular to do lots of service, and the mood was just for the service. And the way I understood the way you have to serve is to offer to Srila Prabhupada, to the deities, everything is supposed to be first class, everything should be best. And this was also, another part was that every Prabhupada disciple, whatever particular service they did, they had amazing dedication to that service, which I still see, like in Panchagoda Prabhu and Daiva Shakti Mataji, in Dinabandhu, and that was also present in Aindra Prabhu. He was very dedicated to the kirtan, and as a pujari as well. And I didn't get so much relationship through the kirtan, but because I was engaged in the deity service, specifically making garland, and he was dressing the deities. So then, on many occasions he used to give some instruction or used to express some desire, like, to serve in particular way. And like I already mentioned, that he was very demanding actually in offering Krishna the best. The garland should be the best, the flowers should be the best, the jewelry we used to make, also some necklaces, belt and all, also should be the best. Like, for example, in the morning, he was very particular about offering, fresh flowers. It should be picked just now from the tree. It should be just now picked, fresh for Krishna, and it should be very beautiful. So I remember him asking me to, on Saturday and Sunday, bring some fresh flowers. So I used to go to MVT garden, and, I'm very grateful to all the champas tree, because for many years they were supplying us champa for the garlands and for the decoration of the deity. And Purnima Mataji and Shama Sundari that time used to go to Gaushala and bring fresh flower, because he loved to put effulgence around the deities, and then effulgence always should be decorated with beautiful flowers. So these two Matajis, they used to go to Gaushala to bring some special flowers. I mainly make the garlands, and I was bringing just some flowers later on. Like he wanted like 50 to 7, some. So I used to climb the tree, bring the best flowers, and he was very happy about that. And then about the garlands, like, many devotees already heard many times this story, how maybe if you see old picture, you will see that on some of the photos, Srimati Radharani's garland is very, very long. We don't have anymore like this, but it used to be when he used to dress on Saturday and Sunday. So occasionally some devotees used to complain and come to me, why you making such a long garland? It shouldn't be like this, and it should be like this, and should be like that. So I was tolerating because he was asking like this. And then after some time I thought, let me just mention to him once. So that was the end of me. Like I mentioned to him that some devotees complained that Srimati Radharani's garland too long. Then he went on and on and on for half an hour or 2 hours, explaining how Srimati Radharani is the queen of Vrindavan, how she deserved to have garland until her feet, and how Rupa Goswami described that Srimati Radharani wear actually 3 garlands and one of them is long enough to touch her feet. Like, if you know, we don't see under the skirt, but Srimati Radharani is standing on this, stand like this. So actually, if you see, the garland will be touching just her feet, and then it actually goes the stand. So then we just were making like this, and other pujari, like Mukunda Prabhu also like it long, but kind of medium size, and some pujari like it shorter, so we were making different for different devotees. But he was very particular, very demanding. It has to be the way, it has to, he liked it. And I always felt a great responsibility to get somewhere flowers, I don't know where, always praying that champa tree would come and some flower will come from somewhere, because later on, just before the lockdown, we had the abundance of flowers from Delhi, all kind of colors. But in those days, we just had broken roses and genda, and of course in this season, we had lots of vela. So it was quite difficult to manage, so we had to make so much endeavors, but it was so wonderful because he had that enchanting mood that you like it, actually, to bring these best flowers and make something best. And this kind of mood of pleasing Krishna, it was just so always amazing to notice. And for me it was great, he was a great teacher, this is how you have to serve Krishna. And another part I wanted to mention, somehow it comes in my heart today, the part that maybe Vaishnava Maharaj pointed out the most, that he was very caring person. And I grew up in this surrounding that Srila Prabhupada disciples were very caring and very sheltering, always giving lots of explanation and instruction how you have to serve. So Aindra Prabhu like this, he was very caring. I always saw how he used to take care of his boys so nicely, spending so much time with them, never looking at what he has to do, but for whatever is needed. So in spite of that I was not a part of his ashram, he used to sometimes come to the garlands, and if he would hear some problem was there or what, he would come and ask, so Mataji, if there is any problem, you need any help, let me know. And lately, when just some time before leaving his body, he spoke to me several times, asking me if I need anything, and how my practical situation, and how is my son, and how is my husband. He was very, very caring. I was actually very taken aback. Of course, I had no idea that he was going to leave very soon, but he had that mood, for what I'm just very grateful, and it's a big loss for me, because it's not just a loss of a person with whom I was doing service, but it's somebody who loved and cared about you, and whom we love and care about. But, Krishna's mercy, we have the philosophy that helps somehow accept that big loss maybe for us here, but it's a big gain for him to do his service in the spiritual world. And I'm always very grateful to him for engaging my son in kirtan. We don't have often so much facilities for the young generation, and I'm very grateful that Aindra Prabhu somehow was able to extend himself to such a degree that now even he's not present here, by the mercy of Krishna and by the desire of these boys, somehow they all appear here. When he left, I was just in such a shock. I was just thinking, what is going to happen to Kirtan party? Who is going to do, the Kirtan? Who is going to sustain everything? But somehow or another, I don't know from where all these boys came. And I remember when my son used to go for Kirtan, and I used to ask him, what are you doing there? How you assist Aindra Prabhu? And he used to say that Aindra Prabhu was asking him to do when he used to take high, and it was difficult for him to maintain the long enough. Then my son used to pick up on certain place and do like continuer kind of, and he said that was his service. But somehow he relished that service and kept in his heart. And when Aindra Prabhu left, he didn't have much interest, unfortunately, to go. So, because of this personality, they have such an attraction to holy name and they love deities so much, they're able to somehow transform in association with us. So I'm very grateful that he shared with me this mood, loving, mood of Radha Shema Sundar and to the Kirtan. And I pray that one day I would still be able to serve with him to Radha Shema Sundar and make beautiful garland, whatever reality he is and they are. So I'm just very grateful for all the association he gave to me and love and care. And I hope we meet again sometime in future. Hare Krishna.